Hey y'all, I'm Hamilton and today is July 5th, which means to me that it's time to release another reflection. So every half I look back on all the things that I planned to do and all the things that I actually did and figure out, where I hit and where I didn't and use that to plan for the future. This half, I'm going to be doing this highlight video a little bit differently than I have in previous time frames. So I'm going to be focusing mostly on the goals, the actual goals that I set out, how I hit those goals, and then my goals moving forward. This video is a complement to my full reflection, which I post on my blog every time frame. And if you want to look at any more details, any links or anything like that, or anything that I bring up here, you can just go over there and find that. So here are my 2020 H1 goals. You can see that there's not that many goals. The way I went about doing this was to have a theme that I used to kind of direct the goals in a general way, and that theme was to thrive. So for each of my foci, each area of focus, I have a few goals that I thought would help me get in that general direction. So let's start with projects. Projects are kind of is the area that I create things for the outside world in. My first goal was to get in an art exhibition. I actually got into 2 different art exhibitions, both of which were held virtually due to COVID. I exhibited several different pieces from my COVID art series, my web series, and my blinder series. My next goal in projects was to make a music video. This was something that I had planned in order to challenge myself to not only create visuals for myself, but also to create visuals that fit the aesthetics and the needs of someone else. I was lucky that my friend under the artist name Steve is Space was creating an album this year and offered to work with me to do that. And we came up with some really cool visual outputs. The next goal was to make $1,000 on side projects. This is a goal that I've had for several years. It's a way that I've been trying to gauge and verify efficacy of all the side projects I'm creating. I still haven't hit that yet, but it's something that I'm going to continue to iterate on because I do think it's like a relatively good measure of what value you're producing. My last goal in projects was to make greater than 10 YouTube videos. This is a goal that I added to my list in around February. It came about because I got interested in doing video, both as a way to explore the new medium and way of sharing, and also to work on my fear of public speaking. In total, I ended up making about 28 different videos and adding them to YouTube, so definitely hit that goal. Moving on to self, this focus area is very much around foundational things that I'm doing internally or to support my other areas that don't really see the external light of day. So my first goal here was to hit a 50% savings rate. I'm a big proponent of the FIRE movement, which is Financial Independence, Retire Early. It really focuses on just the ability to be self-sustaining and to have enough capital to kind of live the life that you want. One of the big milestones to hitting this is to hit a high savings rate, as your savings rate really determines how fast you will be able to attain financial independence. So that's where this goal came about, and I did end up hitting the 50% savings rate. My next goal in self was to get a hard 6-pack. This was a goal that I've had for a while. I think it's just like a cool thing to have a 6-pack, and it's also something that I thought was a good goal because it had a lot of implications behind it. So not only do you need a 6-pack to accomplish this goal, but there's a lot of things that lead up to that in order to get the 6-pack. So things like having a good gym routine, having a lot of discipline and actually going to the gym, having a relatively good diet. These are all things that I think are good in the long term, and I saw this goal as a way to push myself to do all of those things. I think I accomplished this goal. You can make your own assumptions based on my images on my Instagram at sir.hammy. Go check it out and give me a follow. My next focus area is adventure, and this is really around going out and seeing, what the world has to offer and broadening my horizons in whatever, way that's possible. I think there's a lot of things that you can't necessarily plan for or know about, and so you kind of just have to go out there and see what there is, and do that yourself. So that's what this bucket is for. I did have a few goals for adventure. Because of the pandemic, a lot of those goals got sidetracked. And so I don't think it's that important to feature any of them here because I didn't really accomplish anything. I didn't really do much in adventure, but I will note that I think I gave up on this focus area a little too soon, and it's something that I'm trying to reconcile with in H2. My last focus area is work. So this is, as it sounds, just about work. I've tried to integrate work more and more into my life so that it all kind of follows the same systems, but I found that really it does kind of live by itself in this slightly other bucket. So I've just found it easier to have own goals for that. My 2 goals for this were to be on track for promotion by the end of the year and to own a project for the entire life cycle. The first goal is kind of a moonshot vision goal. I thought it was a little ambitious, but I thought that, by doing this, it would push me to do more better work. And I think in general it has, but, as I've gone down this path and progressed on this journey, I think I found that, there's just so many more things that I just don't know about that I need to work on to accomplish this. For me, that's actually pretty exciting. One of the reasons that I think going to work on a team and stuff is so cool and important is that it really challenges to just make better processes to bring ideas into manifestation. And I think that's like one of the coolest things that we can do here in this life. So those were my H1 goals, and I didn't accomplish everything, but I did pretty good. And I did make progress in most areas. So I think that is a good sign that I'm setting goals that are hard enough to achieve, that it can push myself, and also goals that are reasonable enough that I can actually hit a few of them. So that was H1. Now moving on to H2, I'm gonna be a little bit more brief because I wanna keep this a little bit more vague, but I do want to put this out there and talk through them a little bit just to hold myself accountable and to make it more transparent and what are the things that I'm actually trying to accomplish this half. This half, I really focused on taking time to figure out what was important and what kind of projects I think would be able to give me the most impact in those areas towards those things of import. Don't think I have time to really dive into all of them in detail, but I do want to go over them real quick. So let's just do that right now. So for projects, my mission is to make the world a better place for everyone, grow my abilities into a world-class change maker. Over the past few halves, I've tried to incorporate things that are done, for the betterment of the world into my work. But they always kind of seemed like tangents or just things that were tacked on at the end. And so I really wanted to make this a main focus for my side project. I wanted to bring this for good mentality to the forefront of my planning and my goals. And then I also tacked on the last because one of the big reasons that I do my side projects is that I'm trying to, explore new skills, to work on my skills, to do different things to make myself a better creator. And so this, I think, gives me a feedback loop that says, as you're building things, you're also getting better, and thus it makes you better at building new things. Okay, so first goal, here it is, build a better world. So I wanted to find a way to actually bring that idea into action. How do I measure that? And what I came up with was a dollar amount and then a reach goal, so the amount of people that I reach with these projects. This obviously isn't pure impact, it's not oh, this policy change happened and then I can hit the goal, but I thought it was a good thing that I already know how to measure and could at least give me some directional movements signal. The 3 causes that I'm working on are 3 that I think are some of the most important and urgent in the world today. They include the elections, the United States elections specifically coming this November, climate change, and social justice. The next goal for projects is to make $1,000 and validate 12 ideas. The $1,000 goal is something that I've talked about before, and I think it's a good way to kind of validate that my things are actually providing value. And then the validate 12 ideas is the other side of that coin. So instead of just looking at the impact that can be created, I also want to make sure that I'm making my habits into a process. I think currently that the iteration and the validation of ideas is one of the most important things you can do when you're trying to make businesses. So I want to really work on that this half. Some other goals I have are to release a clothing collection, to get into 2 art exhibitions up from one last half, get handme.art to 10,000 followers, and to do 2 collabs with artists. These are all ways to kind of expand my creative projects, my creative outputs, and my creative inspiration. Okay, moving on to self, which is, again, kind of like my internal foundational things. My mission for self is to build a healthy, strong foundation from which to affect real change in the world. So my goals here are to hit a 60% savings rate, have a 10% reduction in carbon footprint, be a good citizen, which is a collection of tasks that I think I need to do to just be a good citizen. 30-second handstand. So this is kind of like my six-pack goal, but in that it's like measurable and has a lot of implicit goals. So, in order to get a 30-second handstand, like I need to be working on my upper body strength, I need to be working on my balance, probably be doing a lot of yoga as well. And then the final thing for self is I want to learn, and I just have 6 areas down here because I just like ran out of room. But basically, I'm trying this new approach to learning where instead of just kind of like learning ad hoc as like things were recommended to me as I kind of have in the past, I really wanted to just like focus on like what 6 areas would be really interesting to work on. 6 was kind of arbitrary. It just like happened to be 6 because I decided there had to be a limit, and I was like, were there 6 months, maybe 6. At this point, I'm thinking of just devoting 1 whole month to every area that I've focused on. Moving on to adventure, I have to travel abroad for greater than 5 days, explore New York, and do all 5 boroughs, and then join an art maker collective. So I think the traveling abroad thing probably won't work given, recent events, but I do still want to travel around, and particularly within New York. Like, we're kind of stuck here, and I think there's just so much to do and see that I just haven't done, even though I've already been in New York for like 2.5 years. So I think this is a great opportunity to do that and to show that, like, even though there's a pandemic and things are a little different now, the exploration and the adventure can still go on. And then just joining an art maker collective, I just wanted to do this for a while, and I was just like, we're stuck here, like, let's just do it. Let's just sit down and actually do it. So at work, my goals are to hit an EE rating, which is basically like you're doing well and you're actually doing like slightly above your level well. I want to hit all my project goals, lead a project, do 2 technical interviews, and then release 2 tech talks or a blog post for the company. So these are all things that I think are going to make me a better engineer, a better creator, and also move me down that path of career advancement. And so I just wanted to put those down there to kind of show that that's what I wanted to do. Those were my goals for 2020 H1 and my goals moving forward to 2020 H2. As I said, if you want more details about any of these, just head over to my blog. I posted the full reflection there so you can dive into any part of that you want. It's been a crazy first half of 2020, but I really think that the second half can be super good and we can make a lot of like good change for the world. Yeah, let's do that. I'll talk to you next time.